Welcome to the True Guy Globe Brief Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for updates. The headlines called him Shanghai's Titan of Tech, a visionary who seemed to have the city at his feet, his name whispered in boardrooms and splashed across glossy magazines. But the real story of Jiang Wei was never in print. The truth of his life was hidden between the lines, in the spaces the media never saw. From the outside, he was a fortress of success, 50 floors up in a glass tower, sharp suits, decisive voice, respected and feared by rivals and partners alike. He built an empire from nothing, the very image of modern China's ambition and relentless drive, a symbol of what was possible in a city that never slept. But inside, he hid a secret. A flickering faith from childhood, a Christian belief whispered by his parents in a cramped apartment, their prayers soft and trembling in the night. In his world, faith was a liability, a weakness to be hidden at all costs, something that could unravel everything he had worked for. He lived a double life, publicly practical and logical, the embodiment of reason, but privately tracing a cross on his palm in the dark, clinging to a hope he dared not speak aloud. Loneliness gnawed at him, a void no deal could fill, no amount of wealth or power could silence the ache that grew each night. He was a king in a glass castle, but also its only prisoner, surrounded by walls that gleamed but kept him isolated from the world below. He saw the risks, careers ruined for belief, so he built his walls higher, silenced his prayers and buried his memories deeper, convincing himself it was the only way. He told himself it was for survival, for success, for the future he had promised his family and himself. But denying himself came at a cost. A profound emptiness, a sense of being a stranger in his own life, haunted by the echo of a faith he could not forget. Jiang Wei was a performer who had forgotten his true lines, reciting words that no longer felt like his own, lost in the role he had created. The cost was a quiet, grinding war within, a battle between the man he showed the world and the man he truly was, a struggle that no one else could see. The business trip to the Philippines was just another task for Jiang Wei. He packed light, thinking only of profit margins and logistics. Manila greeted him with chaos, noise, color, and something unexpected, faith everywhere. Jeepneys bore names like God's Grace, rosaries swung from mirrors, and shrines dotted the city. Here, faith was public, woven into daily life, not hidden away. Jiang Wei felt both discomfort and a strange longing. He saw people cross themselves at sirens, heard church bells at noon. The secret he'd buried was on display all around him. Business meetings went smoothly, but his mind wandered to the world outside. He was scheduled to visit a rural factory site, a detour he thought was trivial. He had no idea this side trip would lead him back to the beginning of his own story. Sometimes the real journey starts where you least expect it. The drive to the province was a blur of green rice paddies and quiet roads. Jiang Wei, restless, stepped out to check his phone, and the van drove off, leaving him stranded. Alone, overdressed, and unable to speak the language, panic crept in. He wandered into a village feeling exposed and helpless. Children stared, chickens scattered, and his pride began to crack. He was no longer the CEO, just a lost man. Then he saw her, an old woman weaving a basket under a mango tree. Her face was a map of wrinkles, her eyes kind and clear. She watched him approach, calm and unafraid. There was a stillness about her, a peace that radiated. In that moment, Jiang Wei felt a flicker of hope. Sometimes being lost is the only way to be found, and sometimes hope looks like a grandmother under a mango tree. Her name was Esther, but everyone called her Lola, grandmother. Jiang Wei tried to explain, lost, car, no signal. She didn't need words to understand, she saw his need. She offered him her stool, then brought water and a peeled mango. He ate, grateful for the simple kindness. No agenda, no expectation, just hospitality. Afterward she pointed to her heart, then the sky, then folded her hands in prayer. She invited him to pray with her. Jiang Wei froze. Prayer was the secret he'd buried deepest. Excuses filled his mind, awkward, unfamiliar, illogical, but her gentle trust made his excuses sound hollow. He realized that sometimes the most powerful invitations need no words. In that moment he faced the thing he'd run from for years. The world slowed, and he was simply a guest, offered grace beneath a mango tree. Sometimes, the smallest gestures open the biggest doors, and sometimes, a grandmother's invitation is the key. Jiang Wei nodded, unable to refuse, or perhaps unwilling to. Lola Esther sat on the ground and gestured for him to join her. He hesitated, then sat beside her, expensive trousers in the dust. She prayed softly in her language, but he understood the meaning: gratitude, peace, welcome. Her prayer was for shade, food, and the stranger beside her. As he listened, the walls inside him began to crumble. Memories surfaced, his mother's prayers, childhood hymns, the faith he'd hidden. Tears traced his cheeks, he didn't wipe them away. He prayed without words, his heart speaking in sorrow and gratitude. Under the mango tree, he was not a CEO, not a success story, just a man finally allowing himself to be found. In that moment, he felt a peace more valuable than any empire. Sometimes the most profound prayers are silent, and sometimes grace finds you when you least expect it. The world faded, and only faith remained. He was no longer lost, he was home, if only for a moment. The driver found him, but Jung Wei was changed. He thanked Lola Esther with a sincerity that surprised him. Her image, praying under the mango tree, stayed with him. In the village, he saw faith woven into daily life. Prayers before work, shared meals, small acts of kindness. Faith wasn't a performance, it was the quiet rhythm of existence. He noticed neighbors sharing, children helping each other, families gathering in gratitude. Their faith was practical, lived, humble. One evening he joined a family dinner: fish, rice, vegetables. The father prayed for food, health, and their guest. Jung Wei bowed his head and whispered Amen, a word both strange and familiar. It felt like a key turning in a long locked door. He realized faith wasn't about grand gestures, but about presence and compassion. The village taught him that belief is lived, not hidden. For the first time in decades, he felt part of something real. Sometimes the quietest faith is the strongest. Change came quietly for Jung Wei, a gentle loosening of fear, a rediscovery of self that crept in like the morning sun. He hadn't expected transformation, he simply noticed one day that the weight he carried felt lighter. The world seemed softer, and his own heart, once guarded, began to open. In the village, he saw that true wealth was not measured in money, but in kindness and community. The laughter of neighbors, the sharing of simple meals, and the warmth of genuine connection showed him a richness he had never known in boardrooms or city lights. He listened to hymns, attended a prayer meeting, and simply sat with others. The songs, sung with hope and gratitude, echoed in his soul, reminding him of a faith he had long neglected. No one questioned his faith, they just welcomed him. Their acceptance was unconditional, their smiles genuine, and their hearts open to a stranger. He felt seen, not as a CEO, but as a person. For the first time in years, he was valued for his presence, not his position or achievements. His walls began to fall. He allowed himself to be vulnerable. In the safety of their kindness, he found the courage to share his story, his doubts, and his hopes. Before leaving, he found Lola Esther bringing a small gift, a token of gratitude for her wisdom and warmth. Through an interpreter, he thanked her for reminding him of what he'd forgotten, the importance of listening, of humility, and of faith. She smiled and said, "God does not forget his children, sometimes they just forget how to listen." Her words were simple, yet they carried the weight of truth. Her words struck him deeply, stirring something long dormant within him. He felt a sense of peace, as if a door inside him had finally opened. He realized he'd been hiding not just his faith, but his heart. The village had given him the space to rediscover both. In that village, he learned to listen again, not just to others, but to himself, and to the quiet voice of hope within. He left with more than memories. He left with a heart unlocked, carrying with him the lessons of kindness, faith, and belonging. Sometimes the greatest riches are found in the simplest places, where love and acceptance are given freely. And sometimes, all it takes is one person, one gentle reminder, to help you remember who you truly are, and to open your heart to the world once more. Back in Shanghai, the city's roar replaced the village's quiet. Outwardly, nothing changed. Jung Wei was still the formidable businessman, but inside, everything was different. The secret room in his heart was now a sanctuary, not a prison. He began each day with quiet reflection, a silent prayer. He listened more, led with patience, and saw his employees as people, not just assets. He managed with integrity, making decisions that were ethical, not just profitable. His faith became a compass, guiding his actions quietly. He started a fund for employees in need, mentored others with compassion. He didn't preach, he lived his faith in small, steady ways. He often thought of Lola Esther and her simple prayer. True strength, he realized, was in having a faith that needed no walls. He was no longer ruled by fear, but by a quiet, unquenchable light. This is a story of a man who got lost and found his way, not across countries but from his head back to his heart. Sometimes the greatest journeys are the ones that happen within us. in the quiet spaces between thoughts and memories where we rediscover what truly matters. Faith doesn't always shout, sometimes it whispers in kindness, in a shared meal, in a simple prayer. It's in the gentle touch of a loved one, the warmth of laughter around a table, or the silent hope that lingers in the air when we bow our heads together. We all build walls to protect ourselves, but those walls can become our prisons. The barriers we create to keep pain out can also keep joy and connection away, leaving us feeling more alone than ever. Zhang Wei's journey reminds us that the key to freedom is often found in unexpected places. Sometimes it's a door left ajar, a chance encounter, or a moment of vulnerability that lets us step into the light. His story is an invitation. Look for the Lola Esthers in your life, those whose quiet faith can help you remember who you are. Their wisdom, patience, and gentle presence can guide us back when we feel lost. Be open to grace, to detours, to the possibility of being found. Sometimes the path you least expect leads you exactly where you need to go, if only you're willing to take that first uncertain step. Faith is not a destination but a journey, one small act of courage at a time. Each step, no matter how hesitant, is a testament to hope and the belief that things can change. Let a crack appear in your walls, let the light in. Even the smallest opening can let hope flood in, illuminating what was once hidden in shadow. Your reawakening may come in a conversation, a child's trust, or a quiet moment alone. Sometimes it's the simplest gestures that remind us we are not alone, and that we are still capable of love and change. The world is full of mango trees, full of chances for grace. Every day offers new opportunities to reach out, to receive, and to give, if only we notice them. The smallest light, once allowed to shine, can illuminate the whole path. Even in the darkest times, a single spark of hope can show us the way forward. And that is a journey worth taking, to walk together, to seek the light, and to find meaning in each step we share. Sometimes all it takes is a single quiet yes. That small act of acceptance can open the door to a whole new beginning.